Hello, dearest viewer. Thanks for joining us for today's conference, the third day and the grand finale of the Aquaculture Business Growth Conference. On this stage today, we have the conference moderator, we have a father in the West African aquaculture body, that's the person of Director Larry Badmus, the Pioneer Regional Director for World Aquaculture Society, African Chapter, West African Region. And we have a great speaker here also with us. Our first speaker for today, Mr. Alfred Ukane, is a global problem solver, an agribusiness person or agribusiness coach. He is the founder. He is the founder of Chuvac Agro Services. Join me as I welcome Mr. Alfred Kane. Thank you, sir. You can take the stage now.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Good morning to everyone. My name is Alfred Ukane, and today I'll be taking you on sustainable technology adoption for producing safe and healthy aquaculture products, right? So I'll just share my screen so that you can follow me on this very short and brief presentation. Samuel, please confirm if you can see my screen. Can you? Can you see my screen, Samuel?
Yes, I can see your
Hello,
screen.
Samuel. Please
I
confirm
can
if
see
you
your
can see my
screen.
screen. Awesome. All right.
Yes.
So let's run.
Yes, I can
Okay,
see
so
your
let's
screen
run.
very well.
All right, so let's run. Yes. So basically, if we are talking about sustainability in aquaculture, or we want to achieve sustainability, we should know that sustainability lies on many fronts, right? And some of these fronts that sustainability lies on includes food safety, for example. Our consumers, our target audience, they are concerned about consuming safe and healthy foods all the time. Foods that they know that this aquaculture product that I'm consuming is low in mercury or do not have the potential of causing harm or damage to my health. That is one. Number two, we also know that labor is a major challenge. Getting farm attendants or farm hands to work in the farm is a major challenge right now in Nigeria and across Africa. And this is basically because there is a high labor intensity in the farm, in the workplace of the farm, and then most young people are not willing to work in that high labor intensive environment where the reward is relatively low, right? So there is need for us, if we must achieve sustainability, to drive operational efficiency, where we can now leverage on technology to drive some of our operations to reduce the workload, right? Then another thing we need to be concerned about is environment. The water that we are putting back into our natural water bodies, what is the impact? Is it impacting negatively? Is it impacting positively? The people who are living in and around the aquaculture venture, where that farmed fish is coming from, is it of environmental concern to them? Are they facing a challenge due to you setting up that business there? That may also affect the sustainability. Then, if we must achieve sustainability, obviously the farmers have to be profitable, right? So if the farmers are not profitable, there is no way that we can achieve sustainability. And the list goes on and on and on in order for us to achieve sustainability, right? But I want to take us back to the foundational basis, very simple basis for aquaculture, right? For you to achieve success in aquaculture, then you need to know that it's fundamentally a combination of three basic components, right? The first one is gene or genetics. The genetics of the fish has to be awesome, whether it is tilapia, whether it is catfish. The genetics itself has to be good combination. If you remember your first filial and your second filial generation and how they cross those things in your secondary school agriculture and biology, you will understand the benefit of having a good gene. Now, in order for the fish to express that gene very well, it has to be subjected to good environment. And the environment for fish is basically quality water and quality feed, right? Water that is, the pH level is very optimum for the fish. The dissolved oxygen is amazingly optimum, and other parameters are very good, and quality fish, right? And quality feed, sorry. Then the last one is scale. How can we move this product from point A to B? How can we cause this product to have a global appeal? or a national appeal or a regional appeal for people in different locations to place order for this product. Most of our tilapias are actually being imported into this country. Why? Because they have it in abundance in a location, in a particular location, compared to us here who have relatively low production or no production at all in some locations, right? So these are the three basic formula for success in catfish. However, if we must have sustainable technology adoption in these levels, we need to look at them critically from these three levels, right? We need to look at how can we leverage on technology to drive sustainability in genetics? How can we leverage on technology to drive sustainability in environment of fish itself? How can we leverage on technology to drive sustainability in scale? So let's look at them one after the other. If we are looking at how technology can be adopted at genetic level, environmental level, and scalability level, then let's look at them one after the other. Now, at genetics level, let's take tilapia, for example. In tilapia, there's what we call sex reversal, right? If we are doing sex reversal or monoculture, where we have to raise only one sex of fish. So if we want to do male, we are doing all males. If we want to do females, we are doing all females, because like tilapia is plagued, let me use that word, is faced with high reproduction abilities. And so the tilapia can keep reproducing uncontrollably in your pond, and you don't want that, right? Because it will limit their growth, it will affect profitability, and then at the end of the day, your production may all be messed up. So there is need for us to have just a one-sex structure. That's technology, right? So, and this technology is actually bettered through research, right? But the amazing news for me today is that this is not the area that I really want to dwell in, because at the end of the day, I want to drive it down to application to the farmers themselves who may be on this platform or who may watch this live on a later, or this broadcast on a later day. Now, I want you to just imagine that in the process of us doing stripping our eggs and then doing fertilization for catfish, imagine if there is a device that can enable you ascertain the quality of semen before extracting the semen. Now, that device can also show you a place where the male organs are in the body of the catfish, that's their abdomen now, and it can also give you the privilege of using something like a syringe to insert it and just take out the fluid, right? So if we have that type of technology, guess what? You would have succeeded in stopping trial and error. Now, let me shift your focus again to another similar sector like aquaculture. Let's look at poultry. If you look at poultry, one of the major reasons why poultry is so organized is because there are standard hatcheries that are producing quality day-old chicks that are serving the entire country, right? So these hatcheries have been able to invest a lot on technology, a lot on brooder stock, and a lot on their distribution process to make sure that they're able to service the entire country. However, for aquaculture, the standardization is not there. Farmer A is doing this is our own standard. Farmer B is doing is our own standard, because we have not invested heavily on technology to be able to drive some of the needed change that we need in terms of putting out a very high quality genetic, either tilapia or catfish out there in the market. Now, let's look at environmental levels. How can we sustainably adopt technology at environmental levels? Remember, I said that at the environment for catfish is quality water and quality feed. So we're looking at quality water. But the question for me here is, how do we adopt technology in a way that it can continually regulate, number one, the dissolved oxygen, and maintain higher levels of dissolved oxygen? And you know what that means. Higher level of dissolved oxygen, increased feed consumption, and increased feed digestion, right? Now, how can we also regulate the temperature of water? Because temperature actually impact on the feeding pattern of the fish. How can we also regulate things like pH level, water hardness, water softness, right? And also, how can we reduce the volume of water that we are using in our production process to produce per ton? So if we are looking at all these factors, then there is need for us to drive simple technology that can help us achieve this thing without deploying too much human resources. So I want you to take a look at this video.
These are water spinners. They're the first of their kind in the world. Let's take a closer look. Developed by Gavin, one of Maui's engineers, these unique spinners are being trialed on the farm, and so far they're proving to be a big success. So, how do they work? Typical feed spinners blow pellets through pipes out to the pens. Most variations float in the center of a pen and spray food in a circular pattern, controlled remotely from the shore. Here's the idea behind water spinners. First off, they use nearly half the energy of traditional spinners. Counterintuitive, I know. It's actually much more efficient to pump water out to the pens than to use air to transport feed. These large feed silos on shore are filled every few days. Seawater is then pumped in and mixed with the feed as it leaves the silos. Out in the pens, an electric motor sprays this feed water mixture. It looks somewhat similar to airborne feeders, but trust me, it's not. Because feed isn't bouncing through the dry pipes, it is much quieter. Here, listen to a typical spinner. Now compare that to a water spinner. Yeah, crazy, right? And there's another bonus: less wear and therefore a reduced potential for microplastic.
All right, so if you watch this video, one of the basic things that this farmer is trying to achieve is using low energy consumption to drive increased dissolved oxygen in order for the fish to grow at a faster rate at the end of the day, and for them to turn in profitability at the shortest possible time. Because the impact of this, it has done two things. If you observe, they were using this technology right here to, one, all of us know the aerator, for example, right? But this is just a bigger form. To, one, increase dissolved oxygen level, and number two, to help in feeding the fish. And then they can monitor the feeding patterns of the fish to know whether they are going to stop it or not. And this technology can further even develop to a point where it can now be using sensors to know that if this fish has not picked up 5% of the feed supplied into the pond, for example, then there will be a blockage or a stop for there not to be more wastage of the feed itself. Right? So leveraging on technology is an amazing concept if we must drive sustainability in both catfish production and then in tilapia farming. So let's look at quality feeds, for example. Just like you have seen in that video, right? How do we broadcast our feed automatically? Now, the first time I saw this automatic feeder, I saw it in Warri Delta State in a farm called Tested Farms, where they connected it in such a way that looks like a blender that blends what's it called now, pepper. Those are our normal pepper blender with the bowl that collects the pepper in front, and then there's a lock and there's a wood that is tied into the pond. So when they were doing the trial at the time, maybe this was way back in like 2015, when they were doing the trial at the time, once the fish already now understands that once they hit that wood, that the feed will drop. So they kept continually eating that wood, and feed kept dropping. They kept continually eating the food and keep the wood, sorry, and feed kept dropping, on the water. But it got to a point where, as this was by my physical examination now, it got to a point where they were full. The fish were okay. They were full for the day. However, they were not picking the feed, but some of the fish kept eating it. And at the end of the day, it was wasting the feed. So in this one that I saw in Warri Delta State, if they don't monitor it, then there is no way they can drive sustainability. If not, they'll be running at a loss at the end of the day, right? So, but if we can improve that or even do it as a semi-automated feeder, it will work perfectly fine. And the fish can actually consume this at their own pace and at their own rate. Another form of technology that I want to draw our attention to is using digestible extracts from the raw materials themselves. The company that is currently doing this is ADM. ADM, most of us should know them by now. They produce the feeds that we give to our fries, right? One of the critical things that I love about the technology that they are using is that they are not using the bulk of the raw materials itself. They are looking at what amino acids are important, what other active ingredients are important in the raw materials that we are using, and they are putting it in ready formats into their product that you can use to feed fish. So guess what? At the end of the day, if you use those products to feed your fish, your water pollution will be low, very, very low, because it does not carry the bulk of the of the raw materials that is needed. So these are some of the simple technologies that we can use, right? Then the last one that we're going to be looking at is the level of scale. The level of scale. Please, you will agree with me that in any business, scale is what drives profitability, really, right? So if you are unable to scale your business, you may not be doing so well. So when you hear that maybe the United Kingdom, for example, is importing, let's say, for example, 50 million pounds worth of fish, and they're importing it from Asia, for example, these are statistics that you need to look at. This is money in place. But how do these guys in Asia, in the United States of America, how are they able to grow fish beyond their boundaries and move it out to other locations? It calls for a food for thought. But I want to read something to you. I said here that what technology can we adopt if we must move our farmed fish from areas where we have abundant production to areas where we have low or no production? It is very important. We have a lot of water bodies down south in Nigeria, and we have very few up north, right? Guess what? It may be that the people up north do not really have customer preference now. They may not be concerned about eating fresh catfish because or fresh tilapia, because essentially their environment is mostly dry lands, and then they are also used to consuming dried fish, right? So how can those of us in the south, for example, put in a technology structure where we can dry this thing to optimum level, optimum water level, flavor, reduce carbon level, and ship it to these guys at an effective cost that they can afford? This calls for a good food for thought, because if we are not thinking about scale, there is no way we can drive profitability. If everybody in the community is growing catfish, catfish can never be expensive. If everybody in the community are growing tilapia, tilapia can never be expensive, right? But let's dive it deeper with tilapia. So for tilapia, for example, don't forget that immediately a fish dies, it starts decaying, right? So in order for us to reduce that process, that natural process of decay, how can we maintain cold chain that can increase the shelf life of the fish post-production, right? So we need to now begin to think of basic things like infrastructure, like cold chain vehicle, like cold rooms that we can leverage on to drive supplies of this product. The ice fish that we are importing to Nigeria, the tilapia that we are importing to Nigeria, all the different type of fish that we are importing to Nigeria, guess what? These guys already know that they want to serve the world. And so their production per unit area is actually very high in order for them to serve the world. So all they kept doing was that they made sure that they have this basic infrastructure in place in order for them to be able to harvest large quantity and ship it beyond borders. I want you to watch this next video, and then I will tell you how this entire technology process, how it applies to you, and how you can apply it to your farm. Let's watch the video.
Early the next morning, these fish reached the Blar, Maui's processing facility right in Fort William. Automation and precision are what make this place so incredible. Gutted, imaged, graded, weighted, and boxed, salmon can be ready for the markets in minutes. This facility is so efficient that roughly 1/3 of all UK salmon exports come through here. Unbelievable. And they're actually upgrading things right now. In the new year, they'll be able to handle over 80,000 tons of salmon a year. There's a lot more going on here, obviously. We'll be back once the Blar is fully upgraded.
Sorry, I want to play it one more time. It's just a 30-second video.
Early the next morning, these fish reached the Blar, Maui's processing facility right in Fort William. Automation and precision are what make this place so incredible. Gutted, immense. This facility is so efficient that roughly 1/3 of all UK salmon exports come through here. Unbelievable. And they're actually upgrading things right now. In the new year, they'll be able to handle over 80,000 tons of salmon a year. There's a lot more going on here, obviously. We'll be back once the Blar is fully upgraded.
All right. So the question for me...
Early the next morning, these fish reached the Blar.
The question for me here is this. Do we truly want to drive sustainability in aquaculture by producing safe and healthy aquaculture products in Africa, and then marketing or selling this thing across the globe? Because we must understand a fundamental concept here. What is the US? What are nations like the UK producing? what are nations like Sweden producing, or other European nations? What are they really producing? What are they gifted with? Now, if we have natural water bodies, we have lands that we can use, and we cannot drive scalability to make sure that when it comes to freshwater fish or even saltwater in places where they are in Africa, then we can say that we are the hub of this product and put in the necessary infrastructure that can drive scale and take it to other locations. Then catfish, this conversation that we're having is going to be over a century worth of conversation, right? So as farmers, the question for me is, how does this entire thing that I just said, how does it apply to you? Or how can you break it down to start implementing some level of technology that is going to drive sustainability for you to produce safe fish and for you to also produce healthy fish for your customers around the world, right? The first thing that you need to do, number one, start by powering your farm. Yes, start by powering your farm. If you have been following my posts on different social media platforms, I've always said it, that the revolution that we need in the agricultural sector and in other sectors in Nigeria per se, and by extension Africa, is to light up Nigeria. We need electricity. Electricity is the foundation upon which technology is basically built, because the technology comes in hardware and software, but research and other things that powers technology is built on electricity. So if we don't have electricity, then it becomes a problem for us. And now we cannot solely or chiefly depend on the government to provide electricity for us as farmers. So I stated here that you have to use both conventional means by using PHCN, which is our NEPA, right? Or by using modern means like the solar that we have. So you can say, okay, based on the way things are right now, I want to start by powering my farm in whole by using solar infrastructure, or I want to start by powering my farm in part by using things like solar pumping machine. So you are not supplying energy to other parts of your farm, but you know that from 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning to 5 or 6 p.m. in the evening, your solar pumping machine will run so well that it will continually dish out water to your pond. That's incredible, right? So you must understand that having power is critical. This is going to reduce your cost of production on the long run. So when people are struggling with raising because they don't want to change water, they force themselves to dig an earthen pond system where it is not supposed to be sited. And then they are struggling with high labor intensity and exchange of water and what have you. You have saved yourself all of those stress, right? So what you need to do right now in applying this entire concept to your farm, please start by powering your farm. It is very important. If you cannot power your entire farm, start by powering it. Use solar pumping machine. Use solar dryer for your dryers. And the good thing is that there are a lot of funding opportunities. Once you say you are driving clean energy or green energy, guess what? You will have a lot of people who are going to support you if you're able to put out a very good concept note, right? Then the last thing as a farmer, or the second thing, because there are just a lot of them, but the second thing that you need to do as a farmer is to invest in infrastructure. Now, when we say invest in infrastructure, people really do not understand. They just think that, oh, they say catfish is giggle, so you need to buy the fish, genetically good fish, provide the right environment and scale. No, infrastructure is what really holds your production intact, right? So a perfect example, because people are creative in different ways and people want to do things in different ways, right? But as an agribusiness expert, I like to look at things from the point of safety and profitability. It is key for me. So if I'm looking at profitability, the question for me is, how can I achieve high tonnage per unit area? That's the question for me. And in order for me to achieve high tonnage per unit area, I need to use a system like RAS. I need to use a system like flow through, because that's the only way that I can jack up the dissolved oxygen level and I can now stock high quantity per unit area, right? So even me, I'm thinking about it that I don't know, I've not done maybe 18 pond for over a decade or a decade plus, since 2013. since 2013. That's about 11 years. I've had nothing to do with the 18 pond system. And it is not as if the 18 pond system is bad. No, I'm not even condemning it. But what I'm saying is that I found more effective way to use a tarpaulin pond that can take in 2,500 fish per maybe 18 feet by 9 feet. And then I focus on increasing the dissolved oxygen level to make sure that these guys eat and all of them have a very good chance of growing well. This is something you can do. In your one plot of land, you know that, oh, if I have 18 pieces of if I have 16 pieces of mobile fish pond, for example, that is 18 feet by 9 feet in your one plot of land, you are talking about between 36,000 fish to about 40,000 fish per that plot of land compared to the 18 pond system, right? And there are other innovative ways that you can use, but just know this, irrespective of the container, the natural environment is water. And if you can jack up the dissolved oxygen level and make sure that the pH and other parameters are okay, then you can increase your production per unit area. We can even go further to say that what other technology can we use in the form of probiotics, right? Although personally, which I'm not advertising any product, I'm yet to see a very, very, very effective product that we are using. Most of the trials I've done myself are products that are just fairly okay. But I will still go as a farmer who's trying to drive sustainability, profitability, food safety. I will still go with the flow-through system or ROS, irrespective of the disadvantages that they have. But this is what drives down labor intensity for me. It also drives down what's it called now? It drives down labor intensity. It drives down the risk of pollution and other stress that comes with other forms of systems. So you can look at your own innovative way and say, how can I apply this technology in order for me to achieve sustainability? But I've given you your first two starts. Your first two starts is power your farm first by having energy or light, in part or in whole. In part, it has to do with individual equipment with individual energy source. Solar pumping machine has its own solar panels and all of that. Dryer has its own solar panels and all of that. And then the next thing is to build formidable infrastructure that can enable you to stock more per unit area. With this, I want to conclude by saying that, in fact, let me read it, right? I want to conclude by saying that in as much as we understand the technicalities and the technology requirements for sustainable fish farming, we must turn these technicalities into products that can be used by farmers. This is what truly increases adoption rates by farmers as they see the outcome, right? But if you are teaching those technicalities to the farmer, it further compounds the problem. Because most farmers are big on technical support. They are big on all forms of technicalities that are not science-based. So what we should do as stakeholders back end, if you have done your research very well, if you have seen something that is working, then sell it as a product to farmers. This will drive sustainability. This will drive adoption rates. In fact, it will jack the adoption rate upwards as the farmers see outcome. So with this, I have come to the end of my session, and I would like to take questions from here if there are any. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for the insightful session. It was
Thank
such a
you.
great one. I learned a whole lot. So, viewers, thank you everyone for joining today's program. Mr. Alfred Ukane has spoken to us about sustainable technology adoption for producing safe and healthy aquaculture products in Africa.
Yeah.
He spoke a whole lot. He told us about what the sustainability lies on. The food safety, the profitability, operational efficiency, the environmental concerns. And, oh my God, he made us know that there is a formula for aquaculture success. This includes the gene, the environment, and the scale. He made it known to us that imagine if you have a good fish with a good gene, but in a bad environment where there is bad water quality and bad feed, the fish is not going to grow well and is not going to show the good gene in it. And also the scale. And, you know, he spoke about the genetic level, for example, in tilapia, the sex reversal hormone, to culture monosex tilapia instead of mixed sex. We all know that when tilapia starts producing, they tend to stop growing or their growth rate reduces so much. They are very prolific in nature. They can produce and produce and produce. So when we have this sex reversal, we can culture a monosex tilapia, and this is going to improve the profit. It's going to maximize the profit, and also making us imagine. I was just imagining if we can have a machine that can scan the sac of the male fish, that is catfish, without sacrificing the fish or the
Mm.
cutting and stitching back to know if the fish, if the testes, if the female, the mute is matured enough for production. So that was really a very great session. The environment too, it showed us a video. I was wowed, sharing a video where there is a automatic feeder. The machine aerates the water and also feed the fish automatically, and is being monitored from the outside. That was a very great one. So please, okay, Shihama, you said electricity is really one of the components that can boost aquaculture in Africa, especially the revolutionized solar power. Exactly, sir. And it spoke about it. It made us know that this, if we want to apply this in our farm, we have to start what? Powering our farm with solar, without reliance on the power grid, the national power grid, which is very, very unpredictable and unreliable. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's ruining everything that I've learned. I'm going to, like, my book is full. Thank you so much, sir. We are so happy to
Thank
see
you.
you. Do you
Thank you.
have a parting word or parting words for us farmers and aquaculture enthusiasts?
All right. So the parting word will be my concluding word, right? Which is
Okay.
um, which is stop doing too much technicalities. I see a lot of people trying to compound their own feed. I see a lot of people trying to do things that, like, science has gone way beyond this level, right? And these are things that are valuable to us right now. Why not use what is working instead of trying to reinvent the wheel by compounding your own feed, by stressing yourself, making sure that you are doing, labor almost 247 with your staff, and they don't want to even work again, right? So for me, just purchase the products that are working. Aquaculture is not that difficult if we leverage our technique. So that's the parting word for me.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much
Thank
for the
you.
parting words. And this
Thank
reminds me of the exhibition yesterday done by Blue Rice Aquaculture. They brought to us an innovation, which is the solar powered recirculating aquaculture system, solar powered RAS, and is
you.
entirely powered by solar energy, which ensures uninterrupted 24/7 operation without reliance on national power grid. So everyone, this is an innovation, like he has rightly said. We shouldn't just teach these technologies, but we should turn them into products that can be sold to farmers and make them benefit from this. So thank you so much, sir. It's nice having you on
Thank
stage.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir, and enjoy the rest of
Thank
your
you.
day.
Okay, you're welcome. You too. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So, dear listeners and viewers, that is the end of the first session from our first speaker. If you are not with your biro yet, go get it. Go get your biro and your jotter, because you're learning a lot and you're learning from the very best people in the aquaculture industry. And now I'm going to be inviting our second speaker on stage, which is our director, Dr. Lanre Badmus, the Regional Director, World Aquaculture Society, African Chapter, West African Region. I'm going to be, sir, welcome on stage, sir. May we have you?
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, very audible, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, moderator. Um, I'm very delighted to be part of this epoch-making conference today. And I want to say a very big thank you to the organizer. This morning, it's going to be a very succinct and a very short presentation that is loaded with the what it takes to really drive the sustainability of protein food production in Africa. I'm going to look at the finance or technical know-how. So in this paper, I'm going to look at why finance is crucial, why finance is crucial in the sustainability of aquaculture in Africa. Also, I'm going to look at the challenges without finance. We are talking about finance. What of the challenges that goes with finance? Also, I'm going to look at the role of technical know-how in this paper. I will also talk about the challenges without the technical expertise. That is, the challenges without the technical know-how. So, furthermore, I'm going to synergize between the finance and also the technical know-how. Also, I'm going to look at the priority areas for African sustainable aquaculture. Therein, I'm going to move into the recommendation and the conclusion. Let me start by looking at the African in general, in African context. I want to look at the population of the African country, because when we are talking about the sustainability of the food production, the protein production in Africa, we have to focus our attention on the present population of the African we have in Africa. And then in the nearest future, what is the population of African is really saying? So how do we look at it and anticipate what is going to sustain the Africa in terms of protein food production? As of 2024, African population is estimated at approximately 1.4 billion people. Wow, 1.4 billion people, representing about 17.8% of the global population. Africa has the highest population growth rate globally, averaging about 2.5% annually. And in Africa, the population is expected to double by 2050, reaching approximately 2.5 billion people. This is so fantastic. As of 2024, we are talking about the approximate 1.4 billion people, which representing about 17.8%. So in the next some few years, which is 2050, um, African population is going to reach in approximately 2.5 billion people. So how do we really prepare? How do we sustain the protein food production for this significant and ever growing population? So as of African population is experiencing rapid growth, with a projection estimate that it's will double to 2.5 billion people by 2050. So there is an urgent need for sustainable protein food production to ensure food security and support economic stability. And as we all know that protein is essential for human health and meeting the demand for high quality. And the source of this protein source is like fish. We get it from fish, poultry, and the plant-based option. So the the need for us to have a sustainable food, production at this present time um, is a pressing priority. I'm going to quickly look at finance why is finance is crucial. Why is it finance is really crucial when we are talking about what we need to sustain the protein production, food production in Africa. Number one important thing to really look at about the finance is the infrastructure development. I'm looking at why is it important for us to have the finance for the sustainability of the protein production, food production in Africa. The first one is the infrastructure development. You agree with me that investment are required to build um, hatcheries, fish hatchery, fish mills, and processing facilities to support the entire aquaculture value chain. So, looking at this scenario, it is absolutely very important that the importance of the finance is for us to, build the infrastructure development across the Africa. Number two is the access to affordable credit, access to affordable credit. I'm focusing about the small scale farmers, because the small scale farmers in the whole Africa take the larger integral part of the aquaculture sectors. So with these, majority of the small scale farmers in the Africa are really struggling to have access to affordable credit. That is one of the reasons why the finance is so crucial. And then number three is the reducing the production cost. The high cost of input like feed and energy make the local production uncompetitive. Financial support can be subsidized feed production, that is the renewable energy adoption and other um, operational cost. Then another important thing now, why finance is the market access. We look at the market access. Funding is needed, especially for the cold storage, transportation, and export logistics to reduce post-harvest losses and open new market. The last one is the scaling innovations. Why technical solutions may exist, financial backing, financial imperatives is absolutely necessary to scale up them for wider impact. Now, looking at this, the importance of this finance. So, what are the challenges we now face without the finance? Number one, limited ability to adopt advanced technology or practices. Limited ability. You all agree with me that um, aquaculture has gone beyond the subsistence practices. There are a lot of technology that we can use to advance in order to scale up the production. So without the finance, there's going to be limitations to that. Then two, high reliance on low value, small scale aquaculture practices with a minimal yield. Then stunted industrial growth, persistent reliance on import to meet protein demand. Let me go through what are the roles. Now we are looking at about the finance. Now let's focus our attention on the role of the technical know-how, the hands-on skill to practice aquaculture for for sustainability. So why technical expert matters? So why does it really matter? Number one, efficient farming practices. Efficient farming practices. Training in sustainable practices such as polyculture, recirculating aquaculture systems, and integrated farming can significantly increase the yield while reducing environmental impact. These are some of the essence of the technical know-how, especially the recirculatory aquaculture system where there is a deficiency of water. It is absolutely very important that having the technical know-how about this can really enhance the profitability and the sustainability of the aquaculture. Then number two is the species selections and breeding. This is very, very and absolutely very important. You agree with me that one of the challenges that we aquaculture is facing in Africa, apart from the feed cost of production, we take the 60 to 70% cost of production. Species selections and breeding is a major issue that we are really facing in Africa. The expertise in fishing, fish breedings and genetics is vital to develop high yield and disease-resistant species tailored to local condition. For instance, in Nigeria, we have been facing a lot of issue regarding these species selections and breeding. Of course, yes, Nigerian has a comparative advantage on the catfish production. Fine. But are we really be able to really develop the genetical modification for this particular aquaculture candidate that we have the comparative advantage on that? So there's a need for us to have the technical know on that. Then I'll move us to the feed and feed and nutrition. Knowledge of alternative feed source is very, very, absolutely very important. I'm talking about such as insect bees, protein, algae, can lower the feed cost and reduce the dependence on import. Also, I want to look at the disease management. This is another area where we need the technical expertise, the technical know-how. It is not sufficient, it is not enough for you to be able to go into the fish production. Diseases are very inevitable. And then when it comes, how do we be able to manage it? Do we have the technical know-how how to go about it? Because majority of the small scale farmer can testify to these as to this proposition that for instance in Ghana, I think that was last year, there was a scenario that the outbreak of disease that just rampaged the industry, and it really affected 90 to 95% of the farmer. So we need to have the technical knowledge and the technical expertise on the disease management. What of the environmental sustainability? Environmental sustainability. Educating farmers on this environmental sustainability is very crucial and can significantly increase the profitability of the aquaculture businesses. For instance, the knowledge about the water quality management, water recycling, the low impact practices that can help to ensure the long-term viability. Now, these are the rules of the technical know-how. So challenges without this technical expert. So what do we face? Challenges with the what is at stake? Number one is over dependence on outdated, inefficient methods leading to low productivities. Technology has advanced, and virtually every day aquaculture businesses is experiencing increasing and advancing new technology. Relying on outdated methods to do the aquaculture business cannot really help us in African context. So we really have to go. We really have to go with the flow. We really have to, keep our with the modern technology so that we can enhance the business profitability. Also, increase environmental degradation from unsustainable practices, poor quality fish that fails to meet the domestic or export market standard. This is so incredible. This is so wow. And I want let me emphasize on this. Poor quality fish that fails to meet the domestic or export market standard. I think these factors has really affected a lot of, not let me not say a lot, virtually all of the farmers, fish farmers in Nigeria, because by now, um, most of our fish products, fish and fishery products, has been banned from the exportation. Why? It is because we can our farmers cannot meet the international standard in terms of certifications, and because and in terms of the poor quality of the fish. That is the reason why we need the technical know-how. We need how to really do it so that we can enhance the profitability and the sustainability of the aquaculture. These are not only in Nigeria, it's cut across the West Africa and African contents in general. Now, looking at the two, we're talking about the finance and the technical know-how. So let's look at the synergy between them. The synergy between the finance and the technical know-how. They're complementary need. Finance enable access to advanced technology. This is a very gospel fact that we all know. While technology, the technical knowledge ensure um, their effective use. So while finance enable access to advanced technology in terms of capacity building, going for the training workshop, and having the hands-on skill training, the technical knowledge ensure the effectiveness of these use. Then two, together they can drive the innovations. Then the two, because we are looking at the synergy, having the finance and the technical know-how, they can drive the innovation and improve productivity. It can improve productivity and enhance sustainability. It can enhance sustainability. So example of this synergy is access to credit and fund training program, and workshop for farmers. There are a lot of training programs and workshops that are really going on in advanced country. Having access to finance can also give us the leverage to this. And also, finance incentives can also encourage adoption of sustainable practices, while technical experts ensure proper implementation. Now, I'm going to, before the recommendations and the solution, let me talk about the priority areas for African sustainable aquaculture. Those are the priority areas. So, what are the priority areas? Number one, subsidies for local feed production and renewable energy solution. It's very important. Two, affordable credit for infrastructure development and equipment acquisition. We cannot be doing the business as usual and we expect to get a better result. There must be access to the credit to develop our infrastructure development and also to acquisition of the modern, in quotes, modern modern equipment and technology. So that is for finance. For technical know-how, establishing training center and extension services to educate farmers on best practices. It's very important for the technical know-how. We have to really come to the terms of enhancing the training of our extension services so that the extension workers can go about to educate farmers on the need for sustainability and the best practices. Then partnering with the university, then universities, research institutions they play a very key role in this technical know-how because that is the citadel of knowledge. That is the citadel of acquiring innovation. So for the breeding, disease management, and feed production. So I want to say here, and also want to urge all our universities, the research institutes, and the private sectors that are really going into research and development, that we have a lot to do. We have a lot to do. It is our collective responsibility to disseminate the technical know-how for all and sundry, particularly in these sectors. Knowledge sharing platform to disseminate successful models and experience across the country is very important. On this, I want to really appreciate the African chapter of the World Aquaculture sector, World Aquaculture Society are really doing a very great job in this. We have various platforms where we disseminate informations, where we disseminate modules, experience, and we share the technical know-how, how the farmers, particularly the agriculture, can really enhance their production for sustainability. Now, recommendation. What are the recommendations for sustainable protein food production? Number one. Now, I'm going to talk about the recommendation for government, for investors and donors, for farmers. So I will stratify my recommendation into three. Now, for government, developing public-private partnership to fund aquaculture project is very important. It's very important. It is a collective. It is a collective agenda where the government and the private sector comes together to really fund the aquaculture project across the Africa. A friend of mine who based in Canada was sharing a success story of his project to me, that majority of his research was funded by a private sector, just a family that have interest in aquaculture. So they have a lump sum of fund for research and development, and they are doing extremely very well. So why not we have this kind of this priority in Africa? Government cannot do everything, so the private sector has to come in. Also, individual who has a vested interest also has to come in to fund the aquaculture project. Number two is offer financial incentive for sustainable practices and infrastructure investment. Then support research institutions. Let me flog this a little bit. Support research institutions to provide the technical solutions to local feed across the African continent. We have quite numbers of research institutes that are really focusing on the aquaculture project. For instance, in Nigeria, we have quite numbers of them. Neoma is there, NIFRI is there, and various universities are also there. Department and the Polytechnic are there. What are we really doing? So the government really needs to take this as a business. Let them take it as a business to really support the research institute. Research institute cannot do anything without the support of the government, without the support of the individual, without the support of the private sector. And that is why I said it's a collective effort that all of us, all hands must be on deck to really make sure that if we really want to sustain the food protein production in Africa, now looking at the population that anticipating in 2050, which is going to be 2.5 billion people living in the continent, there's a need for us to come together and really support the research institutions to provide the technical solution to address the local needs. Now, the recommendation for the investors and the donors. We have to focus on the project that combine the financial capacity building programs. Two, invest in innovative technologies that lower production cost and improve efficiency. We cannot do this without the support of the research institutes, because their role, responsibility, and their function is to provide the technical solution to the team problem that the farmers are really facing. So if we really want to invest in the innovative technology, so the investors and the donor must work together with the government. They must work together with the research institutes to provide the technical solutions to our local local needs. Then also to leverage available financial resources to adopt sustainable technologies. Lastly, on the recommendation, participate in training programs and collaborate with experts to enhance technical capacity. Let me also say this that um, the World Aquaculture Society African chapter, we are doing a lot when it comes to the aquaculture promotion in the whole Africa. A lot of you will bear me witness, and for some of the continental conferences and the workshop we have staged, even at the regional level, um, we have been able to really provide the training, and also leverage the collaborations to the experts to enhance the technical capacity. Now, conclusion. What is the conclusion? The finance and the technical know-how, the two are twins that can drive the aquaculture sustainability in African context. They are indispensable. They are inseparable. We cannot separate them. Finances provides the resources to scale operations and invest in the infrastructure, while technical expertise ensure that these resources are used efficiently, effectively, and also for sustainability. So the true solution lies in integrating both elements to empower farmers, both finance and also the technical know-how to enhance the productivity and also create a resilient aquaculture industry capable of feeding the continent growing population. On this note, I want to say a very big thank you to the organizer, and I will close my presentation here and welcome question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was such an impactful session. Like, I really learned a lot. Thank you so much, sir. And dear viewers, thank you. Kindly drop your questions in the comment box. Kindly drop your questions in the comment box. Okay, before we take this question, let me quickly round up the session. Let me quickly say what he has said. Like, let's brief us so that, please, if you have not noted anything, drop your question so you can address everything. So, our daddy, Dr. Lanre Badmus, the Regional Director, World Aquaculture Society, African Chapter, West African Region, has spoken to us about what African aquaculture needs for sustainable protein food production, the finance, and the technical know-how. So he has made it known to us that achieving sustainable production requires balancing financial investment and the technical expertise. So, why is finance crucial? Why is it very crucial? I made it known to us that it is crucial because of many reasons, many factors like the market access, which include the storage facilities, the logistics, the infrastructure development, you know, building feed mills. If you want to build feed mill now, we are going to spend a lot because the machine, the cost, setting up hatchery, and so on. The challenges without finance, we have limited adoption of advanced technology, stunted growth and dependency on imports, reliance on small scale yield. Why does technical expertise matters? It matters a lot because it gives, because of the following. Number one, feed and nutrition, developing alternative feed. This really needs technical expertise to develop alternative feed. Just like the black soldier fly that is being developed now, it really needs technical expertise. The species selection to carefully select the good breeds that are disease resistant, efficient farming practices, and so on. The challenges without technical expertise, the consequences of the knowledge gap, the which include the environmental degradation, the poor quality production, which is unfit for exports. We all know that. That is why many farmers cannot even export their products because of poor quality production. For instance, in the smoke fish, you have to test for the carbon when you smoke with firewood or charcoal, and there is too much carbon, is very unfit for export, and that is one of the reasons why our farmers cannot export their products. Then reliance on outdated method. So we're given recommendations, that is, which includes the participation of farmers in training programs. Participation of farmers in training programs, this is very crucial. And also the government should offer financial incentive, and they should support research institutions and so on, including investors and donors, combining funding with capacity building. And he concluded with telling us that both finance and technical know-how are indispensable for sustainable protein production. And also, integration of these elements will empower farmers and boost productivity and create a resilient aquaculture sector. Thank you so much, sir. I can't just read it, everything that I've written. I've written if I start reading what I've written, I'm just going to take all of our time, sir. So please, sir, before you go, there is a question here for you by Shihama. It said, the question says, what specific outdated farming methods used by small scale farmers in rural areas hinder their technological and financial development? And what targeted interventions can be implemented to address these challenges and facilitate the adoption of modern sustainable agricultural practices?
Okay, thank you so much. This is a very fantastic and a very educative questions. Um, you agree with me that majority, let me say, 98 to 99% of the small scale farmers are using the manual way of feeding their fish feed in the rural areas. So how do that mean? You have the hatching pond or concrete pond or thereabout, and then you have quite numbers of fish, which you must give them the feed virtually every day. And you agree with me that there's a lot of times that most of these small scale farmers waste their feed, and it constitutes to the water pollutions and the likes. So what I'm really talking about, new technology. The point I emphasize when I presented my paper on the country's report of Nigeria in Tunisia this year in African aquaculture. Now, what is the new technology for the small scale farmers in order to save to minimize or to the technology innovation that auto soggy auto fish feeders? What is it all about? It's been invented by Professor Abdullahi Orire from the Federal University of Minor, Federal University of Technology, in Niger State. So this is one of our professor and a researcher that came up with an innovations. two innovations. Number one, the auto feeders. For those of the small scale farmers that are running their production in the recirculatory system, he came up with what he called auto feeders. This auto feeders invention will feed your feed with the appropriate quantity at the appropriate time. So everything is being gadgeted there. Then the same thing with the Sogi auto feeder. The Sogi auto feeder is also an innovation that is being calibrated, that you have 1,000%, 1,000 capacity of feed, and then you want to give them 5% of the total biomass. This innovation will give you automatically the exact quantity of the feed you have. Not only that, it will be timing, because he has a device that you want, that once you set it, you want to feed your fish probably 3 times or 4 times in a day without you even being there. So these are some of the innovations that the farmers will need to expose to the small scale farmers in the African context. I would like to share this technology with you, the person that raised this question, because it is very, very, absolutely very important for, especially for our small scale farmers, to have this technology at the tips of their finger, so that number one, they won't waste their feed. Number two, they won't constitute the water pollution, and at the same time, this innovation is timely for them to really feed their fish. So these are the two things that I'm really talking about: the old method and the new technology method. I hope I've attempted to address your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was very great. Like, I understood everything, and I'm very sure the person that asked that question has really gained a lot. So now, all right, thank you so much, sir. It's nice having you today. Please enjoy the rest of your day, sir. Thank you. Dear
Thank
viewers,
you.
if you are just joining, please subscribe, share, and like. Thank you. Now I'm going to invite our third speaker for today, Mrs. Josephine Namanda. Welcome, ma. Let's have you, ma. Hello, ma. Are you there?
Wait, I've not added her to the stage. I want her to let her settle. She wants to settle down.
All right. So, Shiama, your
Thank you very
question has
much,
been
Daddy. We
answered,
really
and
appreciate your time. It has really been an insightful session and we've gained a lot. We are going to amplify the message of this teaching on finance and technical know-how. I think it's needed for farmers to actually approach
Uh,
their business right in 2025.
yeah. Thank you so much for organizing the conference. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you very much, Daddy. So I want to bring up a slide before I bring her up. Let me bring up a slide.
all right. All right, dear listeners, while we wait for our next speakers, please kindly drop your name and where you are streaming from. Thank you.
All right, Ma, you have the stage.
Kindly let me share this.
Okay. Can you see your slide?
Let me try to share. Wondering why it is not sharing.
Welcome, Ma. Ma, you might not necessarily need to share your slides. It's on the screen already.
I wanted to change the fold, as in the file itself. That's why I'm
Okay.
saying get that off. I share
Okay.
what I've prepared now.
All right.
So have you eliminated that? I'm uploading a new one. I'm trying to upload a new one.
All right, Ma.
Yeah, could you please first remove that you had shared earlier?
All right, Ma. Samuel, please remove that. All right. Shiama, thank you for being with us from the beginning of this program. Baby Bell, Uche Nsoma, Christabel from Nigeria, thank you. Ibrahim Ojulari from Abeokuta, Nigeria, thank you for joining. John Ediko, Ed Idoko, sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name rightly. Thank you so much for joining. All right, please kindly share, subscribe, and like. Thank you.
I'm uploading, but I see it is still showing what you initially uploaded.
Samuel,
Yes, Said.
kindly remove this slide. She's trying to upload a new one.
We can actually help you with your slide from here.
She's uploading a new one, a different one, I think.
But I'll put your slide up the screen. I believe you should be able to see it.
Yes, I'm seeing it, but I requested you to get off that. I upload another one.
You want to change it?
Yes, she wants to use another one.
Should we help you navigate from here?
Sorry?
Should we help you navigate from here while you speak?
Samuel, she wants to upload a new one, a different one, maybe an updated one.
Okay, okay.
All right.
Is this the new one?
It is me to share. It is me to share.
Is this the new one?
Kindly remove that.
Okay. Which one should I put up?
Oh God. I'm saying stop sharing. I share what I have.
Yeah. That's your slide. We've put it up for you.
Stop sharing. She wants to share
You
a
should be
new
able to
one.
navigate yourself from there.
She's sharing a different one.
Yes,
So
she has shared, but we need to add it to the stage from our own end for her. Did she get it? Uh-huh.
Okay.
So you can go ahead now, ma.
All right. Okay, I thank you so much, the organizers of the Aquaculture Business Growth Summit, Season 2. I'm called Josephine Namanda. I work as a district aquaculture officer in Uganda. It is called Mukono District, but also the chairperson, Lake Victoria Crescent Aquaculture Innovation Platform, the side of Uganda that comprises of 23 districts in the central region. It is a multi-stakeholder innovation platform that involves all actors along the aquaculture value chain, where you will find farmers, extension officers, academia, input dealers, the traders, the fish processors, among others. I was invited to present on a topic called Localizing Feed Production as we empower African aquaculture through regional feed supply. And under a theme, Blue Ocean Strategy, where I would like to share some of the benefits of developing locally sourced and produced feed ingredients to support regional aquaculture growth and reduce import reliance. We shall have this outline, we shall have the introduction, current feed production challenge, sourcing local ingredient for feed, building regional feed supply chain. I will share also a case study or proven research done by me, benefits of localizing feed production, strategies for future growth, and I'll have to read out the conclusion. When we look at the graph displayed, we see the status of global aquaculture and capture fisheries. We all see that the capture fisheries stocks are really dwindling, and we are not sure that we shall even ever have them increasing. And we all know the reasons as to why. And following the decline of fish stocks in the capture fisheries, with increase in human population, we realize that there is demand for fish and other animal protein sources. But being that we are concentrating on fish, seeing capture is decreasing, but also aquaculture is increasing tremendously. However, there are challenges in aquaculture, as the previous speakers have mentioned in the different topics, and these are vast. There are really many, but I will concentrate on the challenge of high cost of, wow, what is happening with my slides? Apologies, but this is supposed to be here. I'm wondering what has happened. But anyway, what I'm looking at is the current feed production challenge, which is the limited access to commercially competitive, cost-effective quality feeds. And this is as a result of having limited access and acquisition to good quality ingredients. We see that most of our ingredients that are sourced locally are produced. We use them to produce local feeds, but they are always they always come up as feeds that are not of good quality. And we also look at a challenge that the ingredients that we use in East Africa, we commonly use silverfish, what we call mokene, is highly traded, highly competed for livestock and human consumption, and also uh, uh, highly traded, which makes it of a high cost for fish feed production. We also see that most of our imported feed that we use is not affordable for the smallholder farmers or medium scale farmers because of the high costs, and also those that engage in production or getting those feed, getting the feeds that are imported to our countries are faced with challenges of long distances and storage and probably distribution of these feeds, which make them really of a high cost to meet uh, or to reach the smallholder farmers. The high cost of ingredients, I've talked about it, and in our circle there, I'm showing feed, water quality, and fish genetics. All these, if all are in good quality, we shall always be able to improve fish production and have a sustainable aquaculture growth. I also am displaying a I'm going to talk about the sourcing of these local ingredients for fish feed production, and these are many but have limitations. I've talked of fish meal, which is mokene, the Rustniobola argentea, or a commonly a commonly known daga. It is highly competed for in livestock, for human consumption as well. And highly
I think our network is having an issue. Please let's be patient. Thank you, dear viewers. Please let's be patient.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what is happening. My network is not that so good, but also okay. I'm wondering why it is not scrolling. Maybe you'll help me scroll from that side. as I complete with the slide. But what I was trying to come up with, or to tell my fellow viewers and people that have joined in, that the challenges we have with the local ingredients and both conventional and the alternative protein sources. Sorry. Hello.
Hello, Ma. We can hear you.
You can hear me. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was talking about the local ingredients that we have. I've talked of blood and BSF and bone meal, which are also having limitations that are ethical and ethical. You find that farmers or consumers may be concerned about the blood from animals, that how good it is if they get diseases. Won't they have diseases that are coming from animals? They also come up with the BSF, concern with BSF as something that can't be edible. Why could they feed fish BSF and then give it to human beings? We see azolla, seaweed, and moringa. These are plant sources that some of them are limited in amino acids that are essential in the diets of fish, but also to get the required amounts of this to have a substantial CP to produce a quantity of feed, it is also challenging. What about poultry byproducts? Looking at poultry byproducts as an alternative protein source, and here I'm looking at specifically the old cocks, the unhatched eggs, and the offals. Could you please scroll from there? Because it is. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ma. Samuel, kindly scroll from your end.
I'm trying, but it is refusing. I don't know why. That's why I was trying to come up with my own, as in to share what I had, but now this is the different one. Why it is not scrolling.
I believe it's the network glitch, Ma. So it's going to, okay, it's coming up now. It's going to scroll to that place.
Are you scrolling from that side? Okay, this is the next slide. We've talked of the alternative protein sources that we have and the vis-a-vis the conventional. Now we are talking about building regional feed supply chains. Would have to identify local feed ingredients in our areas or countries. There we are looking at sourcing our raw materials and evaluating their nutritional content. We should also engage local stakeholders. There we collaborate with farmers, the industry experts like the nutritionists, then also form partnerships or improve on group dynamics for all these actors. We also look at establishment of processing infrastructure. This can be invested at regional level, where feed mills can be installed. We can also adopt efficient processing technologies and quality control systems to have a better feed. We also have to focus on sustainability and innovations, which I'm yet to wrap, as in to share with you. We have to embrace alternative protein sources and reduce on waste, which promotes reduce on waste, but also working towards promoting regenerative practices. We should also develop a distribution network that will help us connect the local distributors, use the digital platforms that will help us in marketing of our products, as well as improve on quick and cost-effective delivery of our products. Someone there? Okay. Here we have the innovative approach. With poultry byproducts, I said they are available. They are less competed for when it comes to livestock. I'm not saying that they are not used, but less competed for, and you realize that most of them are either buried or incinerated, which is detrimental to the environment. I got an interest in this and I decided to do research on this poultry byproduct. And specifically, I looked at the day-old cocks, the chicken offals, and the unhatched eggs. I am about to share the results that I got. But here I looked at their the composition, the approximate composition of these products, also optimizing this new innovation that I'm yet to share, but also look at their shelf life. In Uganda, we knew about them, we have them, but we lacked the rendering technology that helps to separate water, fat, and excess fat and water from these poultry byproducts. We also had a challenge on drying these poultry byproducts, but thankfully using our research organization, that is a National Agriculture Research Organization, came up with a narrow safe smoking kiln, which we fabricated and used it to dry our poultry byproducts. I'm yet to share the results, and guess what? They are really good and comparable to the commonly used Rustniobola argentea. Here I'm trying to show the processes that I went through. The first one, I received the unhatched eggs, weighed them, steam cooked them, dripped them, displayed them on the trays. These are the trays that we put in the narrow passive smoking kiln. We dried them and milled them where we obtained the egg meal. That is for the unhatched eggs. The processes are not that different with the other. Please scroll down. You see that is the processing steps for production of the offal meal. The first one was egg meal, and this is for offal. The difference here is that after cooking the offal, we had to mix them with binder to improve on their texture as we dry and quicken the drying as well. The next one is processing steps for day-old cocks. For production of the day-old cock meal, those are the processes still we went through, which are not that so different with the processes I've talked about earlier. Please scroll. Scroll down. Yeah, after cooking and drying our poultry products, poultry byproducts, we milled them. After milling, after milling, we realized that the percentage yield of day-old cocks of offal was higher than day-old cocks and unhatched eggs. And we realized that you see that offals yielded 82.4% compared to day-old cocks, which had a 77.18%, and the least was unhatched eggs that had 54.9%. Please scroll down. Hello. Someone there?
Yes, ma. Samuel,
Please.
scroll to the next slide.
He has not yet scrolled it.
Okay, ma. Please patiently wait while he
Okay.
does that. I guess it's his network, so he's going to bring it up now.
It's
Again.
okay. It's
Yes,
okay.
thank you.
Mm.
Dear listeners, while we wait for the slide to come up, please
Yeah.
kindly share, subscribe, and like. Also, you can drop your name and where you are streaming from. John Ed Idoko. All right, I pronounce your name well, from Abuja. Thank you for joining. Chiama, thank you for joining. Ibrahim Ojulari from Abeokuta, thank you for joining. Uche Mesoma Christabel from Nigeria, thank you for joining. Thank you, and please bear with us. Is experiencing network glitch. The slide is going to come up in few seconds.
Is it her network? She's not. She has dropped.
Yes, it's a network. Just bring up this slide. I think she's going to join back. She was waiting for your slide. Maybe something came up.
Okay.
I thank you so much. I think it is network problems that are really affecting us. We apologize our viewers for these inconveniences. But as I mentioned earlier, that after processing our byproducts, that is the sorting, weighing, cooking, and drying, we milled them. After milling, we had to come up with the percentage yield of these different products. How much can we get from them after drying them? Because this is the ingredient or the concentrate that we are going to use as an alternative protein source during formulation of our feeds. We realized that day-old cocks, offals had the highest percentage yield compared to day-old cocks and unhatched eggs. Please scroll. Hello.
Helma, we can hear you. Bob, please, next slide. Next slide, 4. Is that your network? Please switch your network to another network.
Okay. The previous one? The previous one, which shows the cost. Okay. So after milling, we had to determine the cost of drying a kilogram of these poultry byproducts. Please scroll down. Is Samuel on?
Samuel, next slide, please, where there is cost of.
Whoa. Oh my
No.
goodness.
Next, yes.
That is it. Yes, when we are looking at the cost of drying these poultry byproducts, we realized that the old cocks had the higher cost of production, as in cost of drying, compared to offal and unhatched eggs. And this, the cost actually is in UGX. I'm sorry about that. I would have transformed it into dollars. But when you look at the values, they really show that the old cocks were twice higher than offal and than unhatched eggs. That is when we look at the cost per kilo of poultry byproducts, cost of drying. Next, please. Yeah. After that slide, we also went ahead and calculated the cost of processing a protein for each poultry byproduct. When you look at that slide, we realize that still the old cocks had the highest cost of protein per gram compared to unhatched eggs and the chicken offers. But overall, you realize that these conventional protein ingredients, that is mokene, which is our silverfish, and soya meal, it's higher than that of poultry byproducts. Next slide, please. Yeah, we also went ahead and looked at the particle size of these processed pie products, and we realized that we all know that particle size is good it helps us in uniform mixing of these feeds such that we are able to have a complete feed or pellet and also easy to extrude. That's why we had to come up with this research as well. We wanted to find out what proportion in terms of particle size do these poultry byproducts give and vary. And this showed that 1 to 2 millimeter particle size was the highest proportion as compared to greater than 3 millimeter particle size, and it was more in unhatched eggs and offal compared to the old cocks. But you realize that greater than 3 millimeter, those are bigger particle sizes. You see that it was higher in the old cocks, probably because of the feathers that would not go through the screens that we used. Next. We also went ahead and looked at the proximate composition of these poultry byproduct meals and realized that the old oats had the highest protein content, that is 77.4, as compared to the commonly used silverfish, the silver cyprin, which was 59.1. And when you also look at the dry matter, which is not that so considered in production, but as well important, we see that the old cocks and offal were comparable to that of silverfish. Please scroll. We also went ahead and looked at the amino acid profile of these poultry byproducts. We realized that the essential and mostly methionine, when you look at the highlighted, you see that the old cocks and unhatched eggs were really higher than the silver cyprin and also the soybean meal when it comes to composition of methionine. And when you look at phenylamine, we also see that it is really higher compared, it is low actually compared to silver cyprin, which is not that so essential in diets for fish. But as you see, lysine, even when it is higher in silver cyprin, but at least with its composition in these other poultry byproducts, and if used in conjunction with others, you can always have the percentage of silver cyprin. Please scroll. We also went ahead and looked at the fatty acid profile. We realized that poultry byproducts had a higher monounsaturated fatty acids compared to this, the conventional protein sources. We also see that specifically oleic acid, that is essential in diets of fish, was higher compared to that of silver cyprin across all poultry byproducts. Please scroll down. Yeah, we also looked at the change in proximate composition of these poultry byproducts with storage. We're trying to come up with the shelf life of these poultry byproducts, even when we've not introduced any booster or anything that prolongs shelf life. We realized that the protein content of these poultry byproducts was actually increasing over time, up to 2 months. And we also saw that the fat content was doing the same, probably a bit fairly stable, but also the ash had decreased over time. We all know the advantages and disadvantages of these compositions, and realized that as time went by, ash was also decreasing. Scroll down. We also looked at the microbial buildup of these poultry byproducts. When you look at the first graph, it shows that these poultry byproducts had a total aerobic plate count, which was not that so high. It was around 5.6 CFUs, and it was decreasing over time. We also looked at the total call forms, which were also decreasing over time. I see at 0, 2, and 4 months. We also realized that yeast and mold buildup started at 2 months, and we say it at 4 months. It just started to appear after 2 months of storage, which we also say that the salmonella was totally out of these poultry byproducts for the whole storage time. That's why you're not seeing any graph that shows, or a bar that shows presence of salmonella. We see that the total aerobic count was higher in eggs, followed by the old cocks and offal, but also over time they decreased, which indicates a good protein source that can easily be used as an alternative source for silver cyprind. Please scroll. Sorry about that slide, but we're trying to look at some of the recommendations that we should give the feed formulators. We realized that substitution of fish meal with these poultry byproducts can reduce on the production cost for fish. And we also mentioned that it will give a comparable growth, as we also reduce on increase on the production profitability. We also recommended that these fish feed formulators should be advised that these poultry byproducts magically come when they are mixed. We have the gizzards, we have some of the other debris that come with those poultry byproducts. They should be sorted and produced as one, not mixed. Because wherever you produce them or utilize them within, when they are specific, they will always give you that quality, other than having a mixture of sorts and you start producing a concentrate. We also looked at the shelf life. The optimal was 2 months without any boosters or any products put in to increase on its shelf life. And we also realized that at 2 months, that's when these poultry byproducts have the highest protein content with the lowest moisture content, and the effects for fat are also minimized. Please scroll down. Yeah, when you look at the benefits of localizing feed production, localizing feed production, you realize that it is cost effective. There is you're not using a lot of transport to get them to your production facilities. It also helps in supply chain resilience, where you use a lot of collaborators to help you avail the raw materials on time, and also have the other actors along the value chain for fish feed production engaged in to give you that quality. We also look at improved quality control. As I've mentioned, the environmental benefits are many. You've reduced on the incineration and burying of these poultry byproducts. The support for for local economies is also there, because you will be able to provide jobs for those that deal in poultry waste, especially the women and the youth that do the slaughtering and the sorting of these wastes. The freshness and nutritional value is assured. Please go back. The freshness and nutritional value is assured because you have fresh products that you're sure of from the time they are being got and the production itself. You're utilizing local resources other than imported, and there is flexibility, greater flexibility and customization of your product. There is also reduction in biosecurity risk because you're sure of the source of that product, but also enhance food security in livelihoods and improved livelihoods. Please scroll down. Hello. Yeah, we have strategies for future growth. Want to look at establishing national development policies and aquaculture development plans in all countries in consultation with our stakeholders in addressing the issue of fish feed. Promote PPPs, as the earlier presenter mentioned. This will really help us in increasing production of these feeds. Also encourage credit for medium and large scale fish feed producers, not leaving out also the small scale fish feed producers, as you provide credit to procure machinery and raw materials. We'll also look at revising aquaculture extension, establishing flexible and efficient structures that can meet feed producer needs. Through digitizing, in Uganda we have many digital platforms that really help us on that, and marketing of our fish. Please scroll down. Hello. Yeah, we continue with our strategies. We are advocating farmer-friendly existing technologies like one that I've shared, using readily available local feed ingredients. We also look at collaborating and coordinating, which is also improving on the production of fish at both national and regional aquaculture institutions. We also look at facilitating the formation of farmer associations where raw materials can be gathered in bulk, then send them to the feed producers, but also look at these processors as they work in a group, receive the raw materials and produce in bulk. This helps these groups to negotiate at all their levels to see that we decrease on the cost of production of these feeds. Scroll. Yeah, in conclusion, with good production systems, quality fish seed, good aquaculture policies, and access to credit, evaluation effectiveness, that is the availability of the ingredients, the quality in terms of carrying out the proximate analysis before giving your fish the feed to the fish, the cost and the environmental sustainability for the local fish feed ingredients and fish feeds will enable improved fish production in East Africa and Africa at large. I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ma, for this session. It was such a beautiful one. It was such a very, very beautiful one, especially when you were sharing your research work. Oh my God, I was so interested. Thank you so much, Ma. Dear listeners, please kindly drop your questions in the comment box. If you have any question, please kindly drop them in the comment box. So while we wait for question, in case if there is any question, I'm just going to summarize what our mommy has said. Mrs. Josephine Namanda. She has spoken to us about localizing feed production, empowering African aquaculture through regional feed supply. And the theme is blue ocean strategy. So she spoke about the current feed production challenge, which includes the limited access to commercially quality feed, high cost of ingredients, especially the protein source ingredients, then expensive foreign feed, those ones that are really considered to be the best ones, they are so expensive. And so for and so on. So it spoke to us about sourcing the local ingredients for feed production. We have to source for the ingredients, of course. So the ingredients include the fish meal, the soya bean, cottonseed cake, blood and bone meal, the azolla seed, moringa, the poultry byproducts. And also, we were told about the limitations of these ingredients. Majority of them are highly competed for, especially the poultry byproducts, which are the chicken leg, chicken offer, eggs. We want to eat egg. Human consumption, we want to eat chicken legs, and we are also sourcing for them for ingredients for feed production. We have some part of the some plant sources, they are limited in amino acid. We have a statistical and ethical value. Also, we were told about building regional feed supply chain. If we want to build regional feed supply chain, then we must identify the local ingredients, we must engage local stakeholders, establish processing infrastructure, develop distribution network, focus on sustainability and innovation, and so on. Also, oh my god, after this, when she was sharing that slide, I was so interested. I wish I could just, do that, carry out that experiment myself. Also, thank you so much, Matt. Your research work was a very, very great one and very, very
You
educative.
have a
You know,
question. You have a question.
all right. There's a question,
Can you
Matt,
check?
from Baby Bell. She's the question says, okay, she says, thank you, ma. Should the should the BPBP, what is the poultry byproduct, really be encouraged to use, since after 2 months there tend to be an increase and decrease in some nutrients like the protein and ash and fat? Won't it affect the nutritional value of the feed after storage for more than 2 months?
Okay. Yeah, I thank you so much. I've understood the question and I thank the person who has raised it. It has been a common question wherever I could present this. But as I've said, uh, these poultry byproducts, we did a shelf life analysis that every after 2 months we had to go and check the changes. From the results, you saw that the protein content really increased over time, as in up to 2 months, but also the content just reduced a little after the 2 months, not that so significant that it can cause any kind of problem. But also, we have to appreciate that if it decreases after 2 months without putting any booster or any ingredient that boosts its lifespan as it is in other concentrates, then we should appreciate this, that these poultry byproducts are really good and available as alternative protein sources for production of fish feed, other than using the commonly used that is highly competed for.
All right, thank you so much, ma. Baby Bell, I believe your question has been answered. And also, ma, you have a comment from Shiyama. The comment says, this was very informative. Thank you so much. The presentation highlights need for analytical research in aquaculture. So definitely everyone was actually following the slides. We're very
I
interesting,
thank
ma.
you. I thank you so much.
So Baby Bell said, understood. Thank you, ma. So thank you so much, Ma, for this session. It was such a great one. It's nice having you today. We are so happy for the insightful session.
You're
Thank you, Ma. Do
welcome.
you have any parting words for the listeners?
Yeah, what I would uh, tell our listeners is much as we have bias on local fish feed production, let us ensure that all the ingredients that we have in our localities are of good quality. And to ascertain that, let us do the proximate composition of these ingredients before use in fish feed formulation. And also let us know the sizes of fish, the species, and the requirement of that feed in for the specific fish. Because most of our farmers, especially the small scale holder farmers, use these ingredients as they are without taking the proximate composition to understand what exactly they entail. We realize that in different regions, we have different quality ingredients, even when they are all called the same name. Say, for example, here in Uganda, the soya that is produced in the central region is not of the same proximate composition as the soya that is produced in the northern region. But also there are different types of soya. You may find that the farmer is using the oiled soya, and the other one is using whole fat soya, and the other one is using soya cake. And you realize that they all have different crude protein content, and yet they are of the same formulation. I re-echo this to our dear farmers, especially the small scale and medium scale fish farmers. Much as they may not know how to do the proximate composition, in a group, as I mentioned, that when they have they've done the group dynamics, as in they have the different actors in groups, they can easily access these opportunities at a very low cost, yet they are sure of the quality of feed that they have. I thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma. That is a takeaway bonus for us. It's an extra. Thank you, Ma. It's nice having you on stage. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day, Ma.
I thank you so much.
All right. Bye, Ma. So
Bye
now,
bye.
dear listeners, we are going to invite one of our exhibitors from Aqua Pet Ventures, Mr. Israel. May we have you on stage?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, can I know if you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Israel Naramola, and I will be talking. Okay, I will be talking about our species diversification, and I'll be talking about our product. I work with Aquapet Ventures, and what we do solely is basically we've introduced some exotic species into Nigeria aquaculture, and that is what we'll be doing. I don't know if I can be able to share my screen. Actually, my computer was disconnecting from the Wi-Fi, so that was why I would have shared the little few things. But let me just brush through. So basically, in the past, we struggle with aquaculture industry right now. Okay, and with some of my little study, we saw that Asia continent is leading the world aquaculture, and one of their major secrets is the fact that they're able to have several species. And aquaculture in Nigeria Africa is taking a new turn. And according to Wordfish, according to statistics, generally, the species of fish that is being cultured in Africa, the known species is tilapia and catfish. Asia has over 800 species of fish that is being cultured in their continent. some of which are their indigenous breed and some exotic breed, which was worked on. Tilapia is indigenous to Africa, but now China is the highest producer of tilapia worldwide. So we saw a need for Africa to diversify in our aquaculture system so that we can be able to meet the need. We can be able to meet the need for fish and reduce importation because it is really affecting our economy, our currency worldwide. So we these are ways we can meet up, and we've been able to introduce some exotic species into the African aquaculture. Part of which we have 5 exotic species presently, and we have more that are still developing. We have pangasius, we have freshwater pomfret or freshwater brahma, we have roe labiorota, we have common carp, and we have climbing perch. So these species have been tested and they are great prospect for aquaculture, fish diversification. Okay, so I'll just brush through some of the features, and they are great potentials for us to stop dependence on importation. Sorry, can you still hear me? Am I still on?
Yes, loud and clear. You are live on stage. We can all hear you.
Hello,
Hello, we can
hello. Can
hear
I know if
you
you can still hear
loud
me?
and clear. We can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me? I guess it's the network from his end. We can hear you loud and clear. Hello, Mr. Israel. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, sorry. All right. So pangasius actually, pangasius is one of our introduced species, and it has shown a lot of resilience to um our environmental condition. They have 95 to 98% survival rate after culture because they are not cannibalistic. They are omnivores and they require about 28% protein, majorly plant protein. So in their diet. So with this, farmers are able to minimize their cost in. Then my phone is hanging here. Sorry.
Dear viewers and listeners, sorry for the network glitches. I think it is network. I think it is network. So So please, let's just wait patiently for a few minutes. That is Mr. Israel from
Okay,
Aqua
because
Pet
we
Ventures.
are our time is fast spent.
All right. That is Mr. Israel from Aqua Pet Ventures located in Ibadan. So he has spoken to us about different kind of species of fish they have: pangasius, brahma, rohu, common carp, climby perch, and so on, ranging from the commonly cultured fishes and the exotic one. So that is an exhibitor from Aqua Pet Ventures. Thank you everyone for joining today's event. Today is the last day of the Aquaculture Business Growth Conference Season 2. So if you are a part of this conference, send us the keyword "I am a part of ABGC2" to aquaorg0@gmail.com for your certificate processing. Thank you very much. Of course, you're not going to attend this program without having that certification of what of attendance. You have to collect your certificate for being part of the Aquaculture Business Growth Conference Season 2. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Samuel. Samuel.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you for joining. Thank you to all the speakers that have graced this occasion from day one even to day three. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. And this is going to bring us to the end of Aquaculture Business Growth Conference Season 2. Please kindly share the link, share our YouTube link, subscribe, and make sure other students and farmers watch later to benefit from this program. Thank you very much. Baby Bell, that is Miss Oma. Thank you. Yeah, thank you too for joining us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shihama. From the beginning of this conference, you have been with us. Thank you, John Ed Idoko. Thank you so much for joining us, and Ibrahim Ojulari and others that didn't drop their names. We are so grateful. Thank you, and that will be all for the conference. Bye, everyone.